Thank you for joining us with this week's episode of our 10 Weather Chat. I'm here with meteorologist Julia Kwedi. And Julia, I know you're a fan of the heat. Have you been enjoying this hot forecast?
I've been enjoying it. I spent a couple days at the pool at my apartment, and it's nice being baked under the sun, I won't lie.
Oh my goodness gracious. And do you enjoy the humidity that comes with the heat?
The humidity, it depends on the day. On days where I feel like I'm having to fight with my hair a little bit more, those aren't the great days. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to maintain, I like the volume. But I want to maintain some curl definition, and unfortunately, humidity is not a fan of that part of it, of the equation there. But it's a little bit, it goes back and forth. If I'm trying to have a good hair day, then I'm not a fan of the humidity.
Okay.
But if I'm just chilling at the pool, don't have to worry about the hair. Then
doesn't make a difference.
Then we're good. We're cooling.
I think some days, last week in particular, I would get home from work. You know, we work in the mornings. And I would be inside for long enough to where when I opened the door again in the afternoon, it was like walking into a wall of just...
like a sauna.
Yeah.
Just a sauna.
It was unbelievably hot last week. And I wanted to kind of show our calendar for what we've had so far in the month of July. So as of Monday the 6th, we have had 8 days in a row with highs in the 90s. We finally came out of the big heat wave. But we've had 14 days now with highs in the 90s so far this year. It's a little bit ahead of schedule. Normally we'd have about 11 by now. But this is the second warmest start to the month of July on record through the 6th. And if we can pop 90 today, we might get into that first place spot beating out 2012. So it's hot. You know, we get hot this time of year, but this is the hottest that we've been in early July so far. Not just because the afternoon highs, but the overnight lows.
Yeah.
It's been so muggy. We just haven't been cooling down overnight.
Yeah. I've been feeling that difference. Is again, like obviously we wake up very early to cover the morning shows. Me weekends, you typically during the work week. And you can feel as soon as you step outside your door, you just get hit by this wall of just moisture, that sticky air that you can wear. I call it like a weighted blanket.
Yeah.
Like that's the type of sensation, at least it gives me. I feel like as soon as I step out my door in the morning and just... honestly, I feel like sometimes you feel like you're beating the heat by maybe going out to go on a morning run, but you're already getting wet and sticky from all that humidity in place. So are you beating the heat? Really?
Yeah, that's kind of the balance there. I described it as a wet hug, and I was banned from saying that. The morning crew was like, ew, and I think Janel just had the same reaction. But that's I mean, it got the appropriate reaction. It's ew. Like you said, the temperatures are cooler in the morning, but the humidity is higher. So yeah, you got the sweat factor going on in the morning, but then if you go out in the evening, you've got the lower humidity, but the higher temperature. So it's like, pick your poison. Yeah. It's going to be hot this time of year, no matter what time you go outside.
Yeah, it's summertime. I know for me too, because I just went, I don't know what encouraged me to do this. I don't know what I was thinking, but earlier this week I went to Lakeshore Park to just go on a run, and it was like in the middle of the afternoon, like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just like, I want to go on a run today, and I was going to run 3 miles. After I finished my first mile, I thought to myself, I don't know if this is safe anymore. I was like, we're just going to have to do like a run-walk interval here just to make sure I don't get exhausted.
Yeah. I mean, we preach about it all day long.
I know.
Don't do your strenuous outdoor activities in the middle of the day.
I feel like I'm creating a reputation now. I feel like even our viewers may know at this point. I may talk a good game about things we should do and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't follow those rules myself. I know that I should, even down to just like a simplest thing in the forecast, knowing it's going to rain. But for some reason, I walk out of the house, no rain jacket, no umbrella.
Same.
As if I didn't just talk about it all morning.
Yeah, sometimes it's raining outside. And I'm like, I knew this was going to happen.
Literally.
But I didn't bring the umbrella.
Literally. Why do we do that?
I don't know.
Is that a normal meteorologist thing?
I think that's called compartmentalization. We're separating work from personal.
Okay.
Sure. We're going with that. We're going with that. But anyway, now you know, don't exercise in the hottest time of the day. But Lakeshore Park is a great place to go do all that when it's not 1,000 degrees. So we're talking about the heat. These are the dog days of summer. The history of this saying has nothing to do with actual canines. So the history of the dog days of summer, for those who do not know, is that back in the day with the ancient Romans, they believed that the dog star Sirius, which is visible this time of year, was adding to the heat of the day. It was producing its own heat that was adding to what was coming from the sun. And so that's why it was so hot. And so the dates run from July 3rd through August 11th, and that's why the name Dog Days of Summer came around. I know a lot of people think of like, 3 dog night, you know, for winter, like stay warm. But in the summer, nothing to do with actual actual dogs.
Well, there you go.
But you got to keep your pets safe in the heat. There's our tie-in for that. And one more fun fact, because I'm full of them today. Yesterday, July 6th, was Aphelion Day. I always hesitate for how I'm pronouncing that. So basically, we were at our farthest point from the sun yesterday at 1:30 p.m. In January, we will be at our closest point to the sun because Earth's orbit around the sun is elliptical. It's not a circle. And so some folks are probably listening to this and saying, wait a minute, why is it so hot if we're so far from our heat source? And the answer is because seasons are not caused by proximity to the sun. They are caused by the Earth's tilt. And right now, the northern hemisphere is receiving the sun's most direct rays, the longest daylight hours. So that's why our temperatures are the warmest. So happy belated Aphelion Day, everyone out there watching this right now.
There you go. Woo.
Who knew? Another excuse to celebrate.
Nerd out a little bit there.
Nerd out a little bit. Now this week, of course, we've got scattered showers and storms every day, a very classic summertime pattern. So for both of us, we're going to bring our umbrellas, right? Maybe.
I think
not in my car
I'm trying to think. I was like, do I have it in my car? Probably not.
Mine's not in my car either right now. But recommendation to all the viewers out there, bring your umbrellas with you even if we don't do as we say.
Yeah, a little bit there. But I think too, just keep an eye on the radar too, because I know a lot of folks, me included, want to be out and about, enjoy maybe this nice average heat that we have in the forecast all this week. But just keep a close eye on the radar to maybe catch a dry spot or two over the course of the afternoon as the scatter showers start to populate across the area.
And you know, we're both wearing our jackets in here right now because we're both wearing sleeveless shirts. It makes sense when you're outside to be in the sleeveless shirt, but it feels like the AC is that much colder when you have that contrast.
No, for sure.
Like, I feel like I always have to have my jacket with me, especially this time of year, because just the difference in the temperatures, it feels nice to be cool inside, but then I'm cold.
Honestly, you know me, I don't like the cool at all.
Yeah.
I don't. Honestly, if we could, I would prefer to take the same heat that we have outside and bring it into the studio. I'd rather that.
You might get outvoted on that.
I know I will. Every time. I know for sure, but I will be the odd man out every time when it comes to these discussions about whether I prefer the heat versus the cold. I will always be the odd man out on that.
And we'll come back to this in 6 months when we're talking about snow and cold and all that. Yeah, see, already getting the reaction right here.
Honestly, even though I feel like this past winter wasn't that bad, I feel like I experienced my first East Tennessee winter, and we had a decent amount of snowfall. We had some very cold temperatures. We had some very intense wind chills as well. And I was not a fan. I will say, not a fan.
Yeah. My favorite time of year is definitely fall. It's
nice
like
transition season.
Everything's just right. The temperatures are great. You've got the warmth from the sun. It gets a little cool at night. You've got the low humidity. I mean, and all things that come along with fall as well. But weather-wise, I love the fall season. Right now we're in just like the dog days of summer.
There you go.
And, you know, everybody's just got to deal with it for a little bit longer before we get to that kind of like a little bit of a break. But just a classic summertime forecast expected through this week.
I think fall's better than spring.
I agree.
Yeah, because I feel like spring, you're kind of doing that tug of war of like winter vibes, trying to go into more not as intense, of course not quite summer type weather, but you're getting that push and pull. But I feel like you just end up getting to a situation where you have more cool days rather than just nice in the middle days. And I feel like you get that more in fall. Where you have those nice right in the middle where I feel like a majority of people can enjoy a little bit of what they like. Yeah.
We call it, I think I've heard those called the shoulder seasons.
Oh.
Between summer and winter, and then you have the shoulder seasons in spring and fall, kind of the transition seasons. That might be a tourism thing, though, less of a weather term, but I like to think of it that way. I enjoy the shoulder season of moving into the fall season, but that's just wishful thinking right now because we're just getting into July.
We're in the middle of it. We just started.
Just started the summer heat here in East Tennessee. So for everybody watching, just keep drinking your water, keep an eye on the radar, you know, be smart, be safe if you got the outdoor plans. And as Julie recommended, keep an eye on that radar. And we'll get through it, folks. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I think we covered all the bases.
Let's get out of this cold room.
Yep, into the heat.
Let's get outside into the heat. Y'all have a great rest of your day.